Well, it's been a little over a year since El Chapo Guzman was captured and arrested, taken off the most wanted list. Filmmaker Charlie Min, who produced a number of films about drug violence in Mexico, is questioning his capture in a new documentary being watched this week here in Chicago. It's supposed to be watched here in Chicago, but they're having some issues with it. He is joining us now with a little bit more on this. Charlie, welcome. Nice to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, I want to start off with a little disclaimer. So we are taping this show on a Wednesday. It airs on a Saturday. And as of today, you are wondering right now whether the film is going to air here in Chicago. Why? What's the reason?
Yeah, I literally got this email an hour ago that the movie is pulled because of security issues. I mean, I'm disappointed by the email I got, but I'm going to try to find another theater in Chicago to play this film. This is a very important story for the Mexican people. They've been cheated 125,000 murders since 2007, when the so-called drug war began, when Felipe Calderon, the former president, declared war on the drug cartels. Chapo Guzman's public enemy #1 here in Chicago. Chicago has the second largest Mexican population in the country. The film has to play here.
Yeah, and part of the reason that they're giving you is the fact that there are some gang affiliations with the Sinaloa cartel in Mexico, and they think that maybe that is causing some commotion and a little bit of issue at the theater where it's supposed to play.
Well, I've never visited that theater. I've been busy promoting the film, but I was told that there seems to be some gang activity, Mexican gang activity in that area where the theater is, Regal City North. I don't know that, and this floored me. This decision is disappointing, and hopefully I'll be able to find another theater really, really soon.
Yeah, and to be fair to the theater, we still haven't heard back from them today about their reasoning for it, but they did exchange an email with you. So we'll see what happens, and good luck on hopefully getting the film watched here in Chicago. Let's talk a little bit about it. What I want to do is show folks a clip of it, so take a look.
The odds of Sinaloa cartel boss El Chapo Guzman facing true justice in Mexico are slim.
Kingpin's Saturday arrest in a Mazatlan hotel is a temporary disruption for his $3 billion cartel operation. El Chapo has been indicted in at least 7 U.S. federal district courts, including El Paso.
Some wonder whether their government will be the one to prosecute him, or if he'll stand trial in the U.S.
There's an aura of sympathy in Mexico toward drug lords because they often provide funding for churches and schools.
Chapo Guzman, to be taken down without one gunshot, should tell you something right away.
Do you think that's Chapo Guzman who they have in custody right now?
I don't know yet. Mexican government, the federal government, is still protecting the interest of the Sinaloa cartel.
So if you're saying Peña Nieto was protecting the Sinaloa cartel, how did Chapo get arrested?
Well, that is a huge question.
All right, so there's a bit of the documentary put together by Charlie Min, who is joining us here to talk a little bit about it. So this is very interesting because you said when you went to Mexico, he has a lot of fans in Mexico, so he's not necessarily viewed as this bad guy, most wanted man by police.
He's like a rock star there. He viewed Patrick Kane is here in Chicago. I mean, despite his cartel de Sinaloa being responsible for 80,000 dead Mexicans, I would say 80% of Mexico loves this man because he provides for the poor. He creates jobs, he builds hospitals, churches, schools, provides shelter and food, and a lot of money for the local economy. So he's that Robin Hood social bandit figure that Mexicans love.
Yeah. And so as you talk to people there, one of the things that you found is that as news of this arrest came out, there were people who questioned whether or not he was arrested because he's been arrested before, back in 2001, was able to escape. And so a lot of people are skeptical of whether or not he's behind bars.
Yeah, this would be the greatest embarrassment in the history of law enforcement for the United States if it's indeed not him, because the USA assisted on the capture, US DEA and intelligence. So, I mean, you talk about a unique news story. When is a fugitive of that level caught, and people are not exactly sure if it's him or not?
Yeah, and you talk to so many people in this documentary, not just in Mexico, but across the border here in the U.S. What's the one thing that maybe you found as you went around asking questions about El Chapo that you didn't know before that surprised you?
I would say just what we talked about earlier, how revered he is in Mexico. He's just loved. We have this a murderer here. This guy's wanted in 7 U.S. cities, public enemy #1 in this very city, Chicago. But yet people in Mexico love the man. Again, I would say about 80% idolize the man. There are narco corridos on this man. Chapo Guzman is beloved in Mexico, despite the murders.
Yeah, and the idea is that after his arrest, drug trafficking would drop in Mexico and here in the U.S. A lot of people question whether that has happened. What has changed since his arrest then?
Nothing. The war on drugs is a joke. It's been a 45-year failure. I'd love to ask President Obama, do you have an update on the latest on the war on drugs? Just an update on that. We're the leading consumer of illegal drugs in the world. We're the ones financing this war. We're the ones consuming the drugs, sending guns to Mexico. Mexicans die as we get high, and that's no lie.
Okay. What's the information for people to get the documentary from you?
The website is slchapo.com, and hopefully by the time people watch this on the weekend, I'll have an update on where the movie is going to be playing in Chicago. The movie has to play here.
Yeah.
I mean, just for the reasons we talked about earlier.
Yeah, and again, at this point, as I mentioned at the beginning of the interview, it has been canceled because there are some security concerns. Do you feel like your life is in danger, or have you received any threats as you've shown this movie throughout the country?
I mean, very mild. I mean, you can't be, as a filmmaker, you can't be a wimp. You got to have that Oliver Stone guts. I mean, Scarface, Midnight Express. I mean, I want to be a dangerous filmmaker, and this is my 4th effort in Mexico. My 5th one will most likely be about the 43 students that went missing in Guerrero. This is the saddest story in the world today, the Mexico tragedy, where we have a death toll which exceeds Iraq, Afghanistan, and Syria. We're talking about 125,000 dead in Mexico because of our illegal drug consumption.
Okay. All right, Charlie Min, again, he's put together that documentary on El Chapo Guzman. Thank you. Good luck to you.
You're welcome.